Well, thank you very much indeed for coming along to this session on digital. What I'd like to do is have a conversation with you. We happen to be standing up here at the moment. You happen to be the audience as well, but we're going to have some Q&A as well. But also importantly, let's keep the conversation going on social media as well. Both Tim and I are active users of Twitter. We enjoy having a conversation on that medium, so let's make sure we carry on after the session as well. What I'd like to do today is tell you a little bit about how we have journeyed to using social media to try and do a lot more than traditional communications in government, to basically try and take down some of the barriers and to work beyond the traditional boundaries of government communications. To make things clear, we're civil servants. We work in communicating the government's policy and agenda, so we're more the Whitehall end of Whitehall than the Parliament end of Whitehall there. So, just so you understand where we're coming from in that one there. We have a very simple mantra when it comes to using social media in communications. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there, and a few other people that will spin myths about social media and what it can do. It's a solution for everything. We've developed a little mantra, a little test that allows you to kind of work out which way is up and which way is forward when it comes to doing stuff with social media. Because it's easy to say, yes, we will do it, yes, we'll open an account up, yes, we'll be active on Twitter or Facebook. But it's just really, really important that you remember the very simple mantra: create, connect, and share. Ask yourself this when someone comes in saying, we want to do this in social media. Does it allow you to create more easily? Does it allow you to connect more easily and share more easily? And you can create so many different things: content, data, stories. You can connect to many different people across boundaries, and you can share so much with them. So what I'd like to do now is give you a quick couple of examples of how we're using that to bring it to life and maybe stimulate some thoughts for your own social media strategy and action as well. This is the first example, is one from the Prime Minister's tour of Southeast Asia earlier this year. He went abroad to drum up business, to fly the flag for exports and investment back in the UK. And he went to a great success story in Japan, the Nissan factory. And the factory manager, a British guy who's gone to Japan to run that factory, was showing him around. And this is kind of a traditional media event that government does a lot with ministers: a visit to a location, and there'll be a traditional press conference as well. We obviously help support that digitally. But one of the interesting things was this shot that came out of it. This is Jimmy in accounts, the guy at the front. He's holding up his iPhone. The key point to take away from this, it's not just us creating the moment, creating that press conference, that factory visit. It's Jimmy making his own little moment and sharing it the day the Prime Minister walked through my office there as well. So always look out and see who else can be involved in creating content for your social media strategy, not just yourselves there. Tim, you've got an example as well.
Well, sticking with the iPhone content theme, we know that not everyone's able to come and see our ministers all the time. And we need to be a little bit more open and allow people the chance to ask their questions. So this is the opening shot on a film you can find on MSN, which is David Willits bobbing around in the Antarctic on a trip out there to find out more about our research activity. It's filmed by his private secretary, uploaded to MSN, and there's a nice way of allowing people who had asked questions through Facebook the week before to get them answered by the minister while he's out in the field.
Great. So, as I said, it's all about good social media allows you to create new content and fresh content. The second part of the acid test is connecting. Who with? The people that you can reach out to, people that can reach out to you as well. And here's an example from that tour of Southeast Asia as well. The Prime Minister landed in Malaysia, and he went to University of Nottingham, who have a campus in Malaysia as well. And he was speaking at a student event there as well. We created a hashtag so people could coalesce around the conversation online. And the hashtag's Cameron and SE Asia as well. What we didn't expect was that students had actually created these flyers, these stickers, these mini posters to pass around the event, to encourage people in the room to share out from the room as well, to make that connection across the boundary of the room onto the internet and out to other people as well. So it was an unexpected benefit that this connection was able to bring to us. It helped widen the conversation, bring more people in, and allowed us to also listen in, as it were, and see what the reaction was to the event as well. So if you're hosting a regular session or event in a particular place, think about how you can project it beyond the boundaries and make those connections to allow you to do that as well. Create and connect.
Likewise, we know that Your organisation's rather like ours. You probably can't keep on top of all the conversations and all the messages that you want to deliver to your audiences all the time. So we're using tools like Twitter and Storify to aggregate existing conversations that our audiences are having and reproduce those in places that they can find them, and creating communities of interest around those very specific conversations that people are having online all the time.
And it can be a great surprise to find out who is interested in your content, who is talking about it, who is contributing as well. And often the affirmation of you getting involved and thanking them for something or encouraging them to do more really, really powers them on to be part of that community as well. So the final part of the mantra, create, connect, and share. Sharing that moment. And hands up, any Chelsea fans in the room? Okay, it's amazing. There's only ever about one or two. It's the fans that daren't talk about it. Well, you will definitely recognise this moment. Many others of you will recognise it as well. This is the Prime Minister at Camp David back in May at the G8 summit back there, watching the Chelsea victory in the European Cup there. And it was a moment captured by the White House photographer. Absolutely superb shot. The PM is celebrating. You can probably identify the Germans in the picture. The French president is newly arrived. I think he was elected the weekend before, so he's just looking a bit bemused at what's happening there. But it was unexpected, but it was a moment that was really good to share. And at the time I took the screen grab, 118,000 shares. It went way over 150,000 shares as well. So do be ready to accept those spontaneous moments where you have a piece of content that's just ripe for sharing. And the other lesson which we're keen to share with you is about an absolutely made-up word called glanceability. If you have a timeline on Facebook or your Twitter feed, you know how busy it is, and you know how Facebook prefers things with images as well. Do you have content that's glanceable? Can people just catch it with their eye, get hooked in? It could be a good photograph, it could be infographics, it could be a piece of video, something that just gets them to interrupt their routine and engage with your content as well and take part in the conversation with them as well. So really think about the glanceability. Here's Tim's example.
There's a slight problem with this presentation in that Nick does all the glamorous stuff with Barack Obama and our Prime Minister, and then I get some sort of slightly more practical examples to share with you. But on that sort of sharing theme, Will Norman spoke earlier about the need to get our audiences involved with the decisions we're making and health policy and helping to sort of shape ideas generally. And I think there's a great opportunity to use simple crowdsourcing tools. The Department of Health used this to get people's ideas for existing and new health apps. If you've used any kind of health app in the past couple of years, it's probably rated and reviewed on here. Nothing really to do with the Department of Health other than we invited people's comments and suggestions in, and they were ranked in order of popularity by the people who came to the site. I think we have more than 10,000 different interactions with the site, comments, shares, ideas. And there's a live example, I think there was supposed to be a slide there of Spogo are running a very similar thing right now where you can go and have your say on health technology ideas that they're looking to popularize and share with your audiences. So do go and have a look at that. I think it's linked off their Facebook page. But that's an example of sharing from Department of Health.
One of the lessons we've learned in terms of online community and with social media is often the sign of a really healthy group, a really healthy conversation, is when the participants meet up offline. You go down the pub to catch up with your friends from the mountain biking group or whatever. And I think that's something that this Maps and Apps initiative from DH really managed to do. I remember attending the sort of forum event where a lot of the people were involved in displaying their apps and talking about them. The energy level in that room was incredibly high. It was a real affirmation to that sector, those people building apps and trying to use health digital tools for health. It was a great thing as well. So often you'll think about the communities that you're working with. How can you invite them to something to actually connect and to share further as well? Cats get everywhere, just like Larry wanders around number 10. He's one of my new colleagues that I've had to learn to work with as well. One of the other colleagues I've had to learn to work with as well is Steffi L. And Steffi L doesn't exist. This is my acronym for the digital channels that I have to work with at number 10 that I'm responsible for. The S is for site, the E is for email. Does anyone recognize the corporate logos? The T is for Twitter, great. The F's quite a lot number to choose from. Facebook, anyone else? Foursquare, great, good to see that one. Flickr, and the boring ones are YouTube and LinkedIn as well. And the point of this particular slide is to show you have a real environment to work in, and it's learning to find out which type of social media works best in the appropriate channel, and how the channels interact with each other as well, and how you can connect from one channel to another. A photo in Flickr can be shared through Twitter. Very simple example, but Foursquare, you can check in, again, tie your digital content to a place or to an event, and build up a digital footprint that people can come across, and it can help sort of lure them into engaging with particular content. There's also a couple of new channels that we're working with as well. The P is for, which one, sorry? Pinterest, great, good, excellent. The S is for Storyfy, which Tim's referenced, a great way of curating and bringing together other people involved in the storytelling. And the advantage of that is often journalists, people that are dipping in and out of a community, are sometimes a little bit behind. We have a journalist say, we love the fact you Storyfy a particular visit, because it allows us, we're working Friday night, we're off Saturday, we're back on duty Sunday, we can catch up with what's happened. Never underestimate the simple power of telling a story, giving a beginning, a middle and an end, people knowing where they are in the chaotic world of social media. What I want to do now is just share some insights about the major channels there. Many of you will have no doubt used Facebook as well. And government, likewise, we're using it quite heavily because there's so many people on it. It's a natural choice. From about 5 or 6 years ago, we started using it for recruitment to the armed forces. The Royal Marines ran fitness tests and did Q&As on how to get fit for the test on their Facebook years ago. It's just a natural place to have a presence and be involved in a conversation. And number 10, we found it's very, very good for emotional issues. The PM's really put his back into challenging the adoption system to improve and provide better outcomes for those that are adopted. He's also really put a lot of effort into the PM's dementia challenge as well. And we find when we post content about that on Facebook, people really open their hearts up and say, I was adopted, this didn't work, this changed my life, this is brilliant, this is what we need to do as well. And you'll get a lot of content back and it'll be quite unstructured. But that's the nature of it. It's people having enthusiastic, emotional conversations as well. Whereas LinkedIn is great for that business conversation. Naturally, people will be a lot more precise. You may only get 80 replies to a particular discussion about an issue, but every one is usable. You can almost analyze and take it straight into a business report about what you need to do. Whereas with Facebook, you will have to sift through and deduplicate and take away some of the noise to find the signal within it as well. But think about the nature of your content and what's the most appropriate social media channel to lead in. Twitter is just the 800-pound gorilla in the room and on social media as well. It links up so many things. It's the ball bearings that make so much of social media go round. One of the Sky News producers talks about Twitter as the new newswire. It's where they look to. And this is a screen grab of Sky displaying one of our tweets from number 10 when we had the first meeting of the new cabinet about a month ago as well. They got that up within 7, 8, 9 minutes of us tweeting it out, and it was on screen for a while. So while you may think of social media as your own direct-owned media channel, the indirect channels that you're trying to influence and work with as well will often take it and display it on their channel as well. So your social media can sort of work twice as hard as you maybe expect it to do as well. But Twitter is just actually a superb way of quickly getting word out, quickly listening and taking the temperature of initiatives there. Likewise, you can also do the unexpected as well. Be prepared for that. And again, this is down to speeded execution. We had a reception for Black History Month in number 10 recently, and we tweeted about that. And look, it had a star in it. One of the guys from JLS was in this particular photograph, and you'd expect that to do well online and in social media. That week, we also tweeted out our greeting for Eid, the Eid festival as well, and that did almost as equally as well, even though it maybe wasn't as high profile as a celebrity. So do experiment with what you create, and do get it out on your social channels and learn what resonates where, and don't be surprised when you do find these things that are maybe not high profile that really do quite well. The other aspect I want to bring up, and it kind of goes back to that issue of glanceability, about that visual content. Think about a diamond, the many facets to make something scintillate, make the light scintillate if it's cut well. Traditionally, we go into communications through the front door with a press release, an event, traditional assets. Think about how you can cut an angle, a facet that allows the light to shine differently on that as well. The PM gave a speech and a visit to the Imperial War Museum to announce the way in which we're going to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the First World War. And we had the press release on the site with some imagery as well. We also created a Pinterest board to kind of give some facets to that as well. Some of the great cultural icons, the cultural artifacts that have come out of the war, the great books, the works of literature and art as well, to help give context as well. It's not content we own. These are works of art or literature as well. But we can help present the context, back to curating other content. You can work with partners. You can work with your consumer base, your stakeholders, to create that really multifaceted diamond around the initiative, the event, or the program that you're working with as well. That's us just very quickly shared some of the things that help us do it. Remember to create, connect, and share. As I said, it'd be great to carry on the conversation in the Q&A and afterwards as well. Okay, thank you.